off. As long as you're consistent and you offer value, you're there to serve. Doors will open.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Daniel Bauer. Previously, episode 34 of the 12-Minute Convos podcast. It's been 3 years, 4 months, 3 days, 16 hours, and 45 minutes since we last spoke.
Just be all that you were made to be. Go out there and just get it, and it's yours.
That was then. This is now. How are you doing, my friend?
3 years older, wiser, and excited to talk with you. So it's going pretty good. Angel, how do you calculate that? You're able to do it so quickly. And did you say episode 34? That is so long ago.
Yeah, well, one of the great technologies we have is an app or a website called timeanddate.com. So I can put the time that the calendar has where we last had our conversation recorded, and then put today's time when we started, and voila, it's there.
Voila, that's what they say. Well, congrats on the show. I know it's grown since then, and 3 years have passed. So yeah, what an amazing opportunity to reconnect.
Yeah, it feels great. It's as though I'm your podcast accountability partner, right? Are you doing what you said you would be doing, Daniel? So do update us. What's going on? What's the latest? The last time we spoke, the podcasts were going on. You were doing a ton in the space of supporting others, specifically. Well, I'll not go ahead, but you tell us what's going on.
Yeah, the podcast really took off. And something that you and I were both told as we're starting off, as long as you're consistent and you offer value, you're there to serve. Doors will open and people will start seeing you as an expert. And that's not why I started the show. I started the show in 2015 because I wanted to level up my leadership skills. I was a school administrator, and the opportunities for me within the district were few and far between. And leadership development looked like, here's 10 ways not to get fired. Here's all the things you need to do to keep your job, but not how to have difficult conversations, not how to inspire or make change happen, not how to create a vision. And these things are integral to your success as a leader. So I started the show. People really resonated with the voice and the message that we were putting out there. And 3 years later, Angel, this is what I do full time. So I podcast, I talk to amazing people, and then I basically throw a party where I invite other awesome school leaders to attend. And if they want to join, that's great. And if not, that's okay too. And basically, that's a leadership community. So I have 60 members from 6 different countries around the world that are in my school leadership mastermind. And then by accident, I started coaching entrepreneurs in the education niche specifically. They started knocking on my door. Danny, do you have a group for us? And I said, well, I do now. When do you want to meet? And so I started working with business people in the education niche. And that group has quickly grown to 9 members. And we're meeting all the time and leveling up. And it's so amazing because I didn't see it all coming. I've always been a teacher. I love seeing that metaphorical light bulb moment for people when they finally get that epiphany and they realize there's no upper limits. Those upper limits were placed on there by themselves and how they can grow. And now I'm impacting, in terms of the school leaders and in terms of the industry, right? And it's just an amazing thing. I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
I love how there are words that have built you from those words that you've set. It's been great to see that from better leaders, better schools, from the words, small ideas that lead to big impact. Have you seen it as well, where you put these things down, you're intentional with these words, and then it's as though you get to see them manifest into something bigger than you could even imagine?
Yeah, definitely. And what I've learned is by writing those things down or like reciting affirmations, having morning routine, all that kind of stuff, is that it really provides a framework and a focus for the day and for what I'm trying to do. And by constantly going back to these things and seeing them written around, yeah, it's just like it's the vision, you know? You're sailing somewhere, but where you land, you need to be intentional about that. And so this is a framework. This is one way that I'm able to do that. And there's certain catchphrases, like you said, like the small ideas that lead to big impact. Well, when I'm coaching leaders, sometimes the answer is right in front of your nose. You just don't see it. And that's the power of working with somebody that's objective and outside the situation. And they could say, Angel, it's right there, and you're like, whoa, look at that. But the other thing too is leaders want to go, go, go and go big or go home. And although a big inspiring vision is great, the way to get there is the next smallest step. So that's why I like that small ideas that lead to big impact. But the why, of my organization, which I really love, is everybody wins when a leader gets better. Everybody wins when Angel gets better. And I
Yeah.
like how personalized that is, right? And just understanding that by you investing in your own development, the whole community is leveled up. That's a beautiful thing when you think about that.
It is, it is. Now, you did something way back then to express how important it is for everyone to level up, where there were, like, I think it was students, yeah, that you got to run the Boston. Well, you didn't just say, okay, come on, tomorrow's the marathon, let's go run it. Like, you had to train them as well. Are you still doing that? Running?
Right. Oh, wow. So running, I run on the pitch. Here's something that's changed over 3 years. I've lived in Netherlands and Belgium, and now I'm in Scotland.
Wow.
And so I've adopted what the world calls football, not American football, but what Americans call soccer. And so I get my running in there or in CrossFit. I'm not as interested in the long distance marathon type running anymore, but I stay fit through riding my bike everywhere. I haven't owned a car in over 2 years, and just staying fit like rowing or sprints and a lot of like high intensity training and lifting. So no more long distances, not going to do it. That just wasn't my jam. I
Yeah.
did it because it inspired kids, right? We did it because it raised $25,000 for clean drinking water projects. So it was much more than me just loving, to run long distances.
What about skateboarding? I know definitely that's something you love. Are you doing that up there? And well, I'm saying up there, but technically it's east of where you were, so it's not really an up, right?
Right, right, right. Yeah, I had my board in my mom's house in Florida. So thank you, Mom, if you're listening. And I don't have it here in Scotland because I would die because it's incredibly hilly,
Oh
right?
my.
In Glasgow and, in the north of Scotland. And so, yeah, that's not so much something that I do anymore. But, it's okay. I still love the culture and love what it's all about. It's just, a new chapter for me.
How does it feel to know that the activator in you still lives on? And the last question, how do you ensure that you're in check as the activation of you spirals into how many things you can do as opposed to focusing on one specific thing?
Yeah, that's the biggest challenge is like once you get into this work, you realize, man, what can't I do? And that's a question that I think Marianne Williamson asked in one of her poems. Like, it's not a question of, what you're not able to do, but what can't you do? What will happen if you truly realize, your vision? And then the biggest challenge is realizing that you have to focus. You can't do everything. And what do you want to decide to be great at? Be a inch wide and a mile deep rather than a mile wide and an inch deep. The way to do that, we talked about morning routines a bit and having things written down, but I'm a community guy. So even though I work on my own in my office, I have a team and then I have leaders I support. I'm a part of coaching groups as well, where I have to check in. And like you said, podcast accountability buddies, that type of thing you need to set up. I just realized that I'm not strong enough to do things on my own. So I need to tell people my goals, let them know what I'm working toward, and then be accountable and share with them if I'm being honest in terms of taking care of that stuff or not. And by having that community, it keeps me in check It keeps me in focus.
Well, I want to say thank you, my friend, because it gives great motivation and inspiration to touch back with you and hear that everything is going, I wouldn't say perfect, but to see that you have continued along the path that you decided to, and it's gotten you to this place. It's a wonderful opportunity to hear this and to share this with the amazing audience. Again, thank you, my friend. Before we leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Like you said, it's not necessarily perfect, but I'm happy where I'm at. I wouldn't be anywhere else. And so just the importance of gratitude and living in the moment. And thank you, Angel, for spending some time with me, having me on the show. I really enjoyed the conversation and the opportunity to talk to your amazing audience one more time.
Love it. A pleasure I treasure. Daniel Bauer, again, my friend, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.